it was about the Kimmel story. Jimmy came back last night after all that.
Brilliantly, I think.
Yeah. Our guest, we like to start the show with an interview. Kind of, I think it's a fun way to find out what's going on, the latest in AI. And our guest this week is a dear friend, a legend in technology, the author of so many great books, starting with Hackers, which was really the seminal story of the MIT hackers and how the whole computer revolution started. And if you haven't read it yet, by all means, read it. Steven Levy is here. He's a regular writer, a columnist for Wired. Great to see you, Steven.
So here's what Kobe Bryant had to say about my guest today. He said, Tim Grover is the master of mental toughness. The book is the blueprint for discovering what you're capable of achieving, getting results you never imagined, reaching the highest level of success, and then going even higher. The late Kobe Bryant. Here's what Barkley had to say. If you compete at anything, sports or business or life, you need this book. No one knows more than Tim Grover about competitive intensity, killer instinct, and crushing the other guy. He is the best at what he does, creating champions. And Michael Jordan called him the asshole. Not an asshole. He called him the asshole, which he took it as a compliment. So I can say to him because he said that's a compliment. And having said that, he owns the record. He holds a record on that, Tim, and I don't know if you're aware of this record or not. You held this record for a couple of years.
But just for a couple of years.
Just for a couple of years. I'm going to tell you this. You held the record for the most F-bombs ever dropped in an interview. Yeah.
The most prominent feature of the disease, which is a dance-like movement, chorea naturalis. Then if we head over into the colonies, the American colonies, we know that in the 17th century, the term St. Vitus dance, or that disorder, was used by the English colonists in New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. And in the 19th century, Johann Lund, in 1860, publishes his first detailed description of this disease. And he actually is one of the first to describe it as being hereditary. Then in 1872, George Huntington wrote his landmark paper about adult onset Huntington's disease. What's interesting about all of this is it's not until the 20th century, so 1950,
says that she has had major brain surgery, has brain cancer, has flatlined twice in the last few months, actually, and you don't much care.
I do care about my mom. She did have a major brain surgery. She had an AVM, which is a malformation of blood vessels that were in her head, and one did come open, and it caused a small bleed in her head, and I went to the hospital. I was there for her, and then she kind of turned it into something that it wasn't. She kind of turned it into cancer, but she never had cancer.
As far as you know?
As far as I know, and the doctors that I have spoke to.
Now, you said this has gone on all your life. In 1998, you were in foster care.
That is correct.
Why were you in foster care? Why was your mother not taking care of you?
Well, what happened was the counselors at school started asking us questions, and CPS got involved, and
In the 2.5 years Charles III has been monarch, royal watchers say he's been impressive, especially considering he's been fighting cancer for much of that time. The thought is dreaded, but the King's illness is a reality check for the firm. It means there's added impetus to ensure Prince William is match fit for a possible call-up to the top job. So how will the 42-year-old wear the crown? Is he really ready to reign? Imagine the pressure. For most of his life, Prince William has been preparing to become His Majesty. And for 7 years, Jason Knopf was never far away. First as his press secretary, then as the CEO of the Royal Foundation.
I've always known. Biology was my favourite subject at school, and I was just, this is my route. And despite my parents saying maths or law, I was always medicine. And I've been very fortunate in that I've always loved my job. I knew I was in the right thing straight away. As far as HIV goes, in fact, when I was in 4th year, I met a young man living with HIV. who became a very good friend. And I watched how badly he was treated by the healthcare system in the very early years of HIV in South Africa. He was a young gay man, and he essentially had no treatment. He was put in ambulances with people in full PPE, and you could hear them on the radio saying how they've got to scrub it out afterwards because they've got someone with HIV in this ambulance. And the only people that really offered him any care were some amazing nursing sisters.
I was spelling it Lou Bottom Me, and it was leading me to like all these weird adult sites. It was like just these weird videos about this guy named Lou and something about him being a bottom. I don't know. It completely went over my head. I was like, when do we get to the holes in the head? You know? So 3 hours and $13 later, turns out nothing goes into the holes in the head other than an ice pick. Good to know. Good to know. But then I finally weed through all the bullshit and learned that once upon a time, there was like this cure-all treatment for mental illness called lobotomy. Oh, yeah. Anywho, if you're wondering, a lobotomy is a surgery where they cut tiny pieces of your brain up until you no longer have hopes, dreams, or feelings. I know. It all started way back in the 1900s as this experimental surgery meant to treat schizophrenia in order to make undesirables more aggressive.
And also BP in Chicago. And BP project was very interesting, but that was actually right around the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and caught the sustainability bug and clean energy bug that way. And from that point, it's really been mostly clean energy for me all the way. Did a stint at a venture capital funded energy storage startup called General Compression in Boston. Really interesting technology that stored renewable energy in the form of compressed air underground and released it when it was more valuable. And from there, spent some time still in Boston at a independent power producer called Intergen. And they were actually in the 90s, one of the real trailblazers for the IPP model.
And what really precipitated you writing the book that we're going to talk quite a bit about?
About 20 years ago, when I was just starting out in clinical practice, I was seeing patients who were coming in with bone loss and osteoporosis. And I think like most of us, when we're first starting out, we just were doing what we were taught. And so I was working with them, and their bone density was going up. So I was happy, and they were happy. And my mother-in-law at the time, she had osteoporosis. I was helping her with some nutritional recommendations and some exercise advice, but she was working with her physician and was taking Fosamax. Her bone density was going up. So everybody was happy. She was happy. Her physician was happy. I was happy. Everybody thought she was protected. And then she slipped and fell on a throw rug in her house and broke her hip. And I thought something is wrong with this picture. So I started diving into the research, and I was actually shocked